Welcome, mere mortalites, to another episode of the Mere Mortals Musings. We're live here, 9 a.m. on a Sunday, this Sunday being the 2nd of November. You've got Kyron here.
Welcome back!
Oh my God. And as usual, Juan displays his normal behavior of a extrovert, which is what we're talking about today. So Musings is a deep philosophy. Deep philosophy? Not really.
Deep conversations with a light-hearted touch.
Yeah, practical philosophy.
Practical philosophies.
And as continuing with my lack of doing book reviews on the actual channel, I do have 2 books here. Most of it's going to be around this book here, Quiet by Susan Cain, which is The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking. And then there's a reason I was reading this other one, Instant Influence and Charisma by Paul McKenna, alongside with this. And
Paul McKenna's pretty cool. Yep.
Yeah, you know him?
Yep, I do.
Okay.
On Tim Ferriss.
Okay, there you go. I'd never heard of him before. I'm going to get Juan to just start this by reading the blurb of this Quiet book, and I want to get his
my live reactions on this
of why perhaps I was pairing it with this.
The book that started a quiet revolution. For far too long, those who are naturally quiet, serious, or sensitive have been overlooked. The loudest have taken over, even if they have nothing to say. It's time for everyone to listen. It's time to harness the power of introverts. It's time for quiet. Yeah. What a piece of shit. Fucking piece of shit. Fuck off, Susan. Fuck off. That's what I think. What is it?
It's a revolution, I tell ya. We're going to take over, but quietly.
Quietly. And Susan Cain.
So when I read this, and so look, the reason I've got books like these, I was basically just going through like, I'm stopping all of my normal type of reading, and I'm going far out there in terms of some of the stuff I'm reading, and in particular like self-help philosophies. So things related to like sexuality, shame, and there's been some gems and some like real ones where it's just like, this is so stupid. Why?
Yep.
This is why.
Where does quiet sit?
This was, I think I gave it a 4.5 out of 10.
Okay.
So
middle of the road.
There was 1 or 2 things from it which I thought were discussion worthy. Largely, I gave it that because there was a lot of things I already knew. Also, in this book here, the influence and instant charisma, there was a lot of things that I'd just heard about before in it.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's a way of explaining like why I just got this random book, and I had 15 just sitting beside my bed, and I picked up this one. And when I read this blurb, I just went, oh my God, even for me, like who, taken pride perhaps in being a little bit of an introvert. Yeah. That's pretty full on, man.
That's stretching it.
Just let's so to combat the perhaps any biases that might arise from myself reading this and it just being like a circle jerk of us introverts reading this book and feeling like we're the best, I decided to read a book all about essentially extroversion alongside with it. But there was a couple of interesting things with it. First of all, what do you think you'd find within this book, Juan?
Probably be things about the difference between being introverted or your energy source and shyness, like those sort of things.
Okay.
Yeah. Like energy source of introverts and extroverts and where that comes from, and that sort of stuff, I would imagine. I guess like that differentiation between like shyness, how maybe it's like, you don't have to raise your voice. You can be calm and confident with your speaking. Yeah.
So it's as the the motivational type blurb suggests, most of the book is related to why being an introvert is good.
Is good.
Not necessarily better, although there is a slight tinge of that. We are better. No, it's kind of making the argument, hey, there's a lot of things that because extroverts are so much more forceful and assertive, if you will, that it has like an not undue, a disproportionate influence on a lot of things in culture and the world. And so I was like, that could be an interesting topic. Like how would things be different if perhaps not the assertiveness, like that would remain the same, but let's just say there was 80% introverts in the world and 20% extroverts, or 90-10 was the ratio, how would the world be different? And in terms of culture, in terms of even like physical infrastructure and things like this, what would actually be different? So that was kind of what set me upon wanting to talk about it here.
Yep.
I'll probably start off with what the book actually has, particularly in the start, which was related more to, as you kind of thought, what are the actual differences. So these were, and I'm just reading the chapters here, and there's 4 parts. Part 1, the extrovert ideal. Part 2, your biology yourself. 3, do all cultures have an extrovert ideal? for how to love, how to work. Very unhelpful in terms of chapter titles, because it didn't really do much. But here's a couple of things that I took from it, which I thought was useful as a starting point. So number 1, IQ is the same, introverts and extroverts. No IQ differences. Juan's looking dumbly at the camera now, so maybe that's not correct. Apparently, persistence is higher in introverts, but you get more fast results in extroverts, and these are broadish. Like there was there's studies to back up what she's saying, but you'd have to jump into each individual study, and is it like how verified are these? That would be hard. There are some things where one of the main ones I'd never heard of before was called high reactivity. And what would you think that means?
High reactivity.
Yeah.
Like a more propensity to move up and down like an emotional or physical scale when like things happen. So, if someone cuts you off in traffic, high reactivity would be like, rather than just being like, oh, that's annoying, be like, fuck, what are you doing?
Okay.
Reaction.
And so would that apply to introverts or extroverts? If
high reactivity?
Yeah.
I would have said extroverts.
Okay. Incorrect. High reactivity is when...
Oh, as in like when... Oh, okay, yeah.
When a novel stimulus is presented to you, how do you react to that? And so for extroverts, and they did this mostly with babies and children. Yep. A clown comes along, blah, 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 go in front of the kid. Extroverts, they're like nonchalant about it. Yep. Whatever. Like, oh, that's crazy clown thing there. Yep. Yeah, that doesn't really stimulate me that much.
This happened in Halloween. This happened just a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
My daughter went up to there was someone at the house dressed as a full clown. Yeah. With like, well, it looked freaky. Like, we talked about it. We were like, man, that was kind of a scary looking clown. Yeah. My daughter walked straight up to it, grabbed the lolly, said trick or treat, and then walked away. We had another kid who was a little bit more introverted. Let's just say he was a bit more taken aback, kind of judging what was going on. Wasn't like scared, but was like, judging what was happening to it. So did see this directly. Yep.
There you go. All right. So it's not all BS. And one of the ways you can actually measure this is, if you put lemon on the tongue, introverts will salivate more. It's like a biological function that kind of pairs up nicely with this as well, apparently.
What the fuck?
Yep. And so extroverts, sorry, your lemons don't taste as good to you guys, apparently.
What kind of science is that, Susan?
So the big 5 personality trait is mentioned a few times in the book, which is ocean, openness to experience, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, neuroticism. Extroversion, of course, being the sliding scale, and you can either be very high or very low.
Very low,
that's extroversion, introversion. So kind of backed up by, what would you call it, psychology personality traits, which are very iffy study from what I gather in general over the years. Back in the olden days, she was talking about how there would be, extroverts had more bile in them, for example. There's what people thought, 400 years ago. There's like a black bile, and that's why certain people are extroverted. And you can go through Norse mythology and, I guess you'd call like psychologists of different eras, and they all had various different stereotypes is probably the best word of saying it. And then this also gets into like, physiognomy and how, you could tell a criminal because their eyes were closer to each other and things like this. And most, if not all of it, pretty much all of it is, there's no actual validity to that. So yeah, reading this book, there was a few things like the lemon stuff where I'm like, yeah, I'm not so
Makes you
sure.
question it. Yep.
I'll take it at her word. She said 1/2 to 1/3 of people are introverts. That seems high to me from what I gathered. I thought it was closer to like 80% extroverts, 20% introverts. Broad sweeping as well. Using these terms is very hard because you can have people who are really good at, like, they call them pseudo-extroverts. They're good at faking things. I'd put myself in this category now, where it's like going up to someone on the street. Is that an extroverted thing to do that you've never met before? Kind of.
Yeah, like it's a tendency you'd imagine, but then...
Yeah, and if you saw me in the gym and the amount of people that I chat to there, you'd probably say, like, oh, shit, that guy's extroverted.
Yep.
But if you then combine that with the fact that I'm at home all day and don't speak with anyone else pretty much, that's my socializing time. So it's not actually that crazy, and I'm not like that 24/7.
Yep.
So probably the biggest thing for me was that there was no mention of energy, if I recall correctly, which was, I thought that was the main distinguisher of how you would call someone an introvert or an extrovert. It's, do they get energy from being around other people, as in it increases their energy, or does it drain it from them? That was always my impression of what an introvert or an extrovert is.
Like, I don't actually know the full science of it or the latest, but I've always, because that's part of a lot of always heard being like, you know, if you're introverted, then generally it's like you have a preference, or you take energy in the sense of being on your own, that recharges your battery. Not to say that you can't then be out in public speaking or talking to others, but you don't recharge as well as you might. And then the opposite way around, if you're extroverted, that then you'd take a lot of energy with a lot of people. But see, this is the strange thing I've always thought in that, and I think I've read it somewhere before. It's the same. I'm like, I have tendencies for extroversion, but I also similarly don't recharge my batteries when I'm like surrounded by people. Absolutely not. Where the only one that I've seen is like a Gary Vaynerchuk or other similar people, where they'll talk to freaking 100 people and that you can see them getting amped up.
Yeah, they're getting more.
Sometimes that happens to me, but often it doesn't. Like I've gone to conferences and things like that, and halfway through the day, I'm like, I'm done. Like I don't want to talk to anybody else. I just want to be on my own and do my things. So I don't know. Whenever I like see stuff like this and it's about a quiet revolution and you know all of those, I'm like, I don't know if this is mixing up skill sets and tendencies with what is the conversation between your natural default settings of some things, because I feel like some of it is your skill sets or the way that you grow up, as opposed to, because I would genuinely say I get more of my energy being on my own. I don't get most of my energy when I'm like with people, absolutely.
Yeah.
But then I'm with people, I can be loud and I can be rambunctious and I can have lots of energy for that. But I still prefer training on my own and going on my own for walks and being on my own for a bit of solitude. So I don't know. I don't know how it like maps to that.
Yeah. And this is the last paragraph of the book. I'll read it out. And honestly, probably should have been the very first paragraph because it would completely change almost the whole context of the book.
Okay.
Because of this definitional complexity, I originally planned to invent my own terms for these constellations of traits. And she's referring to things like people who are, conscientious, neuroticism, or who were like a skillful hunter, a man in the field. This is where it was talking about Hippocrates and Galen famously proposed that our temperaments, aka destinies, were a function of our bodily fluids with extra blood and yellow bile, make us a sanguine or choleric, i.e. like stable, or you're neurotic or whatever. So that's what she refers to there. I decided against this for cultural reasons. The words introvert, extrovert have the advantage of being well known and highly evocative. Every time I uttered them at a dinner party or someone on a plane, they elicited torrents of confessions and reflections. For similar reasons, I've used this throughout this book. And I was like, okay, you should have said that right at the start, because then the whole book is almost... I find the words useful sometimes, and then other times it's just like, they're a cop out, and it's kind of how I felt about this book as well, which was
that's what I was thinking. I'm like, it sounds a little bit of a cop out.
like the quiet revolution. You know, where we need to take charge, or we need it's almost like, yeah, let's do some genociding over here and get rid of all the extroverts. And I'm just not sure it's it's that helpful in total.
I was gonna say, yeah. Did you come away reading that book being like, oh yeah, this is some things I'm going to change in my life?
No, not particularly. No. In fact, not at all. There was maybe one or two things where it was. There was one thing which I guess I would say is slightly helpful, which is I've always, and it's related to the fake it till you make it sort of paradox. And she's talking about these pseudo-extroverts who they'll be introverted in nature, so like, but in the pursuit of a higher goal, aka they want to help raise awareness of some particular topic of research or something. They will, and they're like a university professor, for example, they will kind of create a persona, and so then they're kind of like creating a fake version of themselves. And they will say things they don't actually believe or behave in ways that aren't true to their nature, but it's, you know, aka faking it. But if you frame it in a way where this is for like a higher good sort of thing, then you're not actually faking it. You are this now. And I think for me, maybe something like that could be useful. There was just a certain phrase or paragraph where she was talking about this. And I was like, okay, yeah, this could be one of those times where it's like, this could help me overcome the faking it till you make it sort of paradox, which I tend to get stuck in, which is just like, okay, I'm doing this because it's bettering myself, putting myself more out there, but am I just like being untrue to myself?
Yeah. Like if my nature is to just stay at home and like be a little bit quiet while I'm not doing that.
You want to like find a partner, for example. Okay, I'll go out and be extroverted because that's need to kind of do that. But then if you find them and then, okay, do you then maintain that same level of extroversion, or is this just like a little boost to get you out there to find them, and then they're actually introverted as well, and then you can hang out and fucking read books together? I don't know.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to ask you about was the what would you call it? Because you know this more, organizational, like in the workforce in particular, psychology or planning, for example. So open plan offices. Why do we actually have open plan offices? And when you've got many people in a team, have you read books or things or strategies of like, here's how you manage a team, here's how you get the most interaction or creativity between them, here's motivation, this sort of stuff? Have you read any of those sorts of things, or no?
Not as much on the latter, but definitely I know definitely from like the open space offices of the few like Meta / like Facebook, and in the early days they had like a particular guy that helped them out, so that the way they laid out their offices would encourage more meeting of people into spaces. So like, you know, when they would be walking around, they would have more intersects where there would be more conversations to happen, and based on those conversations, new things would come up. So I think that's probably the idea of an open space, is you've got more interactions that are happening between people. Yeah. But I'd be interested to know if, now that there's probably a higher percentage of people who work from home than do at the offices, whether that amount of interactions has decreased. Because I guess you could say it's much easier to just connect to like a random person because you can just chat with them. Yeah, sure. But you don't, I guess. That's the whole thing. You don't. You just, that's the whole point of like an open office. Is like it forces a collation of people to just meet that you would normally interact with. So there's that aspect of it. I don't know if I'd ever really say I'm sure there's like 1,001 books about it on improving team culture and dynamic and better interactions and stuff like that. I haven't personally
never needed to. Okay. No. In the ATO or any of the government offices you've been in, how do they normally set out the actual office itself? Do you have, I'm guessing not separate rooms unless you're a big enough person that you I don't know if it's more of a status thing than anything else. Because where I worked in the mines, for example, it was open plan. So, I would walk into a room. There was just essentially like one center desk with a divider, and then there'd just be like these mini kind of cubicle type things. So you'd have like you'd maybe get like 30 centimeters of private-ish space, as in I'm sitting here, a guy's sitting 3 meters to my left. He can't see everything, but he can see 90% of what I'm working on. So it's the illusion of having
some sort of space.
It's more just like a delineator of saying like, hey, don't put your fucking post-it notes over this
on
side
this particular
because
thing.
that's my side.
That
sort of thing. Is that kind of how the ATO is?
Most government places would be like that still, I reckon, most often in terms of like a bit of a separator and whatnot. But then you've got all the other private companies or startups that I've been at, it's like more open space, even like no divider, just like an open table and you're just working from it in like co-working spaces.
Yeah, gotcha. And you don't even have a set place. I know.
Correct. Yeah, you just kind of like go find a space, whatever.
Yeah, with your laptop and so you don't have any notes or physical stuff.
Correct.
And I wonder, she was claiming the book, this was done because there was some guy at some point who was like, we need more interactions with people, and it was kind of just, he just came up with it and said like, we need more interactions with people. Open plan offices is the way to go. And I wonder if that's actually the case or if it's more just a space thing. And so it's just more efficient to cram a lot of people into these sorts of areas where...
I think it's more economical. Yeah, I think it's more economical to have an open space, even like non-allocated location, because then you can reduce the amount, like if you have, 110% of the employee workforce, you only have to provide, 100% or 90% of capacity because roughly you're going to have that amount of people away. So why be paying all these extra seats for no reason?
Yeah.
So it probably gives you more, from like a financial perspective, efficiency perspective, is probably a better thing. I'm sure that an open setup or having spaces that allow more interaction and connectivity does help for sure, rather than just having people allocated into spaces and never like congregating. Because usually, and I saw this a lot in government, is you'd have pockets of areas work in their areas, and so you'd be like, oh, that area is whatever, and that team works over here, whereas other places where it's just come in and sit wherever, you end up like meeting other people from the workforce or other areas, so you do kind of mix and match a little bit better. Kind of encourages that interaction as well.
Yeah. I remember not being super productive
with like an open space thing.
Yeah, I ended up doing things to make it more private for myself. So I would, put earbuds in so I wouldn't have to hear other people's conversations in the room or tapping and typing and things. I would, I could just literally like turn around or stand up and look over the divider and talk to a guy who I needed to talk to. Most of the time I'd probably just message him on, it wasn't called Slack, it was something else, but a version of that. And that was one of those times reading this where I went, oh, okay, I probably would have been much more productive if I just had a certain space for myself where I didn't have all of these fucking distractions of people.
Yeah. But I mean, that's so dependent on just what the outcome of the work that's needed to be, right? Like everyone knows that if you've got a developer, you generally like have them async from any connectivity because they just can do the work isolated on their own path, right? They don't need any other inputs while they're doing things. Okay, here's your inputs, go do stuff, give me the outputs that come out the other end. They don't want to connect. They rather prefer like, usually, right, a developer would work on a developer machine, right, called the dev VM. They're not even on the freaking system that you're working with. So even if you message to them, they don't even see it because they're in a separate virtual machine. So you just don't even get a response. Fine, that's how they work. But if your job, whatever, this other team person, they need to deliver something for us and dependencies in 2 weeks and I don't know where they're going. Well, for me, it was so much easier just to walk over, say good day, what's going on? Hey, how's that going? Do you have this issue? Hey, you can talk to this guy. Cool. And you sorted it out much quicker than let's do a meeting. Hey, can you send me an email about it? Whatever. Obviously you can formalize those things later. So it depends on the outcome of the job that you're doing. And if it's, I'm talking IT stuff, but even if it's like professional, creative, probably an open space is way better than non-open. financial stuff, you probably want it to be more like closing because you're just getting, again, you're like input, reviewing some stuff, maybe you're auditing, whatever. You just want to be like, you need to do a task, complete a task, and then move out. I don't think you need to be conversing for a random person to fucking figure out innovation. So that's sometimes when I read stuff like this where it's like, oh yeah, but you know, it's time for quiet. And like, what if your fucking job's not about that though? Like what if whatever the action it is that you're doing isn't about that? So some of the aspects of like that's what's like the introspective qualities of, yes, you don't have to be loud. You can just be your own tone and project what you mean. And of course, you can do that in a presentation. You can be loud or non-loud as long as you're making yourself heard. But you know, it shouldn't mean that, oh, you know, you're introspective and, you know, everyone will listen and be quiet. Man, sometimes that's going to happen. So what are you going to do, right? Like you've got to have certain skill sets to then be able to overcome that, even if you are an introspective person.
Yeah. The main thing I took from this was...
Or an introvert.
There's probably a real benefit to being able to just have a space for quietness, but it's not really that much, I think, either linked to extroverts or introverts. It's just with less distractions, you can get better work done. It's pretty much the main sort of thing. And she made a couple of claims about even households, for example, that you know, if there was more introverts in the world, there'd be like more nooks and crannies in them, for example. So, you know, like, you know,
you have like your own like little thing that you can go and hide away out.
Yeah. And yeah, I thought that would be an interesting concept, but there would probably be enough introverts out there who could make these houses for themselves, but I just don't really see it. So, you know, you're still going to have the dining room, for example, where it's everyone congregates together and things like this. So, yeah, I thought it was interesting, that sort of stuff. And she was also talking about school, for example. This is probably one where I'd always got like these open classes. They were talking about how many of the group activities are, we're doing this group activity because it's going to like make them better, or, you know, I don't know exactly what the reasoning was, but it's certainly, to me, I went, oh yeah, there's probably just kids who aren't good at actually being extroverted, and they probably should just be introverted the whole time, do the self-study the whole time. And
see, but that's why I'm like, and I don't know if she talks about this, right?
They'd get better grades.
It's like, say, pulling it apart, a couple of things. One, like schooling in general, not for exclusive reason, but schooling was created so that turn of the century, you know, having the ability to systemize a way to grow kids up so that they could learn, follow rules, go into a industrial system that, you working at the factory and doing this, whatever, and the jobs that came out of that. It was like, how do we set up a system so that kids can go through it, learn, repeat, understand, get the tick of approval that they can follow through rules and procedures and go and do that, right? But I think I've never read it, but I'm certain that when all of these ideas of schooling or the idea of systemizing processes, at no point did they come up and go, oh yeah, this would also help socialization with kids. I'm sure that didn't come up. And if it did, okay, awesome that they thought about it. But I think about it now, one of the key things from when a kid goes from like real young into schooling is you want to maximize their socialization skills, maximize as much as possible, how to get away, how to be in amongst society and humanity, because it's going to be needed basically for every single person unless you become a monk and live on your own, right? Socialization is super needed.
This is where she'd argue against you and say what level is needed and how it comes about.
Well, so like the bit I was going to say, I don't think that being an introvert or an extrovert actually matters in the concept or the skill set of socialization. That's separate. Socialization and being able to be sociable with a group of people, whatever they are, is a skill set. It's a practice, is a continuous action. If you're an introvert or an extrovert, that actually is independent. I mean, it matters nothing, because the way that you might, as an extrovert, socialize is different to how an introvert might socialize. But bet your ass, you need to socialize. Otherwise, you're going to be the fucking motherfucker sitting on the corner on their own who no one wants to interact, or who, as they get older, don't know how to socialize, don't know faux pas, don't know how the common, individuals of their age and of their group actually interact, and that's like shun them away. They don't interact with society. It's when people go like, oh, he's a bit of a weirdo. I think the underlying concept of a weirdo is the person doesn't know how to socialize in the dynamics that exist. If you got dropped into, again, we grew up in Australia. If we got dropped into New York or we got dropped into somewhere else in the world, bet your ass you're going to seem a bit of a weirdo because you don't know how to socialize in the area and the lingo and the styles. That in itself is an important concept, and it's independent of an introvert or an extrovert. If you get dropped into the Bronx, right, if you're a 17-year-old, or like my sister, she went into study in Texas when she was in her year 11, right? I bet you that the differentiation was not that she was introverted or extroverted. There would have been introverts who were more socialized in the area that they lived in, and so then would have been seen as more commonplace in the group and accepted than an external person who could have been extroverted as you like, but you would still be seen as weird if your social structures and understanding is not in tune with whatever that piece. Maybe it's easier if you're extroverted because you just like lean into it and don't care about it, and eventually you learn. But make no mistakes, you got to like socialize, and I think it's independent of introversion, extroversion, whatever.
Yeah, it's more how that socialization is structured, I guess. So she was arguing that more of it is these group settings, talking in front of a class type deals, presenting things. You've got a drama or something, you have to do it in front of the whole class. Whereas, introverts perhaps excel more one-on-one. I know I certainly do, where I'm much more comfortable one-on-one versus in a group of like even 3 people. Like this is probably where you'd say I still struggle, where it's I'm talking with a friend in the gym and then like another person who he knows joins and I don't know. Man, that is always a bit of a struggle for me. Is like, oh, do I introduce myself to them? Like, how are they just going to talk for like 5 seconds and then head off? All those sorts of ones. Those dynamics get more difficult.
They do. But I think and the difference I say is that exact example of like, hey, you're talking to someone and then a third person joins in. If you just
we need to redesign the entire world.
If you're in
this can never happen.
If you're in a social structure, let's just say it exists in like another place in the world where the usual thing to do when that happens, as that structure of society exists, is like, the normal thing is you have to be like, oh, hey, my name is, hey, I know this guy from here, and then interact. And if you don't do that, you're seen as like an absolute weirdo. If you're an introvert or an extrovert, but you come from a societal structure where you don't really do that, you can just kind of stand there and kind of hang out and then wait for them to leave. You'll be seen as a weirdo, no matter what the fuck you are, introvert, extrovert. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter that you're you're out there or not out there. It's like, no, but it's the social, like it's the skill set. It's the understanding of that. So that's sometimes where I see the struggle. I don't know if she talked about it in that book about that, but it's like when they go, oh yeah, but it's because he's introvert or an extrovert. I'll be like, nah, that's bullshit. That's like actual bullshit. I just purely don't know, that doesn't have a skill set of socialization. So again, it's like my daughter growing up, right? And if for whatever she was asking, say she was introverted, and so she said, oh, I'm a bit quiet, and they don't talk to me, and there's problems. I would try to break it down more into what are the skill sets and the expectations of the society and what you can do, as opposed to, oh yeah, but it's because you're introverted, so you have to lean into your quietness. Like that's not helpful. That's not helpful at all, right? Is it helpful at all if someone's going to go, if you have to go tell like, oh, you got to present to 100 people right now. Go to present, and maybe the general consensus is maybe an introvert, or let's not even say present to 100 people. Let's say there's a group of 100 people in a fucking room, and you've got to be loud and make them you got to be in charge and get them to move to a particular area, all of them, and dominate the scene. You could say that an introvert might have a harder time than an extrovert, right? That might be like the natural tendencies.
I'd say that, yeah.
And I agree with that. Like there are natural tendencies. But the differentiation is if you have the skills to do that, then it doesn't matter. Like it does not matter that you're introvert or extrovert. Yes, you might feel like a harder thing to do as an introvert to an extrovert to do that, to be loud, potentially. But if you have the skill set, then you can do it. Like the bridge to doing it is a skill set, not because you're introverted, you have to bridge a gap. No, that's shit, because you could be extroverted and still don't know how to bridge that gap or do it either. So it's like...
Probably the meta thing, should argue, is that
Susan sounds like she's introverted.
Oh, yeah.
Susan's introverted.
Oh, 100%.
Susan, you're introverted.
The whole...
I'll debate you.
the whole the whole point. Many of the stories in the book are
of her
instances of her introversion. I guess it would be the meta thing. It's like, well, why do you have to go to present in front of a big group? I think a lot of this was about kind of acceptance as well. It's like, hey, if you're uncomfortable presenting in front of a group, you're not weird. Like you are. Like there's a
that's good. Yeah. There's a reason why that. Yeah, for sure.
Some of that biological, well, I guess probably she would argue that it's mostly biological, i.e. inbuilt, and that the changes you can make them, but they're not likely to be like long lasting forever sort of ones. She mentioned Tony Robinson as well a couple of times in there. The extrovert ideal.
He's very extroverted.
Is what
very
he is.
extroverted.
Boostagram Lounge, let's do that. And then maybe talk a little bit about this book before the end. The other one.
All right, so Boostagram Lounge, let me just see if we've got any boosts that have come through.
I don't remember if we did this one.
Not sure, but I will double check.
For those who wonder, is where we give thanks to those who are supporting the podcast via boosting in a modern podcasting app, one like Fountain, True Fans, Podcast Guru, Castomatic, things like that, Podverse. And if you want to find out how to do this, meremoderspodcasts.com/support.
Correct.
Got a video there.
Yes, we do have a new one because it came through on Monday from Petar. So there's two that I'll read out.
On.
Both are a row of dark 2,222 sats sent using Fountain. So quack, quack, double quack, quack. Thank you very much, Peter. And this is in relation to our last episode. In hindsight, first one. In hindsight, many decisions look foolish, but you can't deny that at the time, something in your mind told your foot to press the accelerator and to pass the other vehicle. At the time, your brain thought it was an acceptable impulse for the given circumstance, even if you gave it no deeper contemplation. The takeaway is by doing that action, you have shaped yourself into a better driver, so don't regret it. In fact, take a minute to thank past reckless driving Karen for the formative experience.
Thank you, Karen.
That is correct. And I think we'll talk about it in the episode. It's like you can't really regret it so much because it is what led you to today. I'm sure there are things you could regret for sure, looking in hindsight, but again, it made you a part of who you are today, and you would be a very different human had you not done those things.
Almost a Buddhist context of, there is only the present moment.
Correct.
Don't focus on the past or the future.
Correct. It does not exist unlike the present. Now, the second one that Peter did send here is pain is information. Pain is the most important of information for living. There's feedback from your environment. I'd actually say it's suffering. Even more than pain, it's a slight difference. Physical pain in your body's way of physical pain is your body's way of telling you need to move or change your actions. Absolutely. Burn your hands on the stovetop. Mental pain is your brain's way of telling you that you need to move or change your actions. Another great episode. So thank you very much there, Peter, for those two boosts there.
Much appreciated.
I'd probably say pain for sure. I'm not like saying no, it's not pain. But I reckon suffering would be a slightly even better addition because there are some things in suffering that you don't move away from, and you actually have to divert your actions or take different actions even through particular things. But I guess you could say that about pain. Like you could continue through pain with the full knowledge of the pain.
I like pain more because it doesn't have the weight that suffering does of it. As in, pain is usually more understandable for other people. So if you're grieving over a loved one from 30 years ago who passed away, there's people who still have that, and that's kind of less understandable in a way. Whereas if it's just pain, i.e. you got something in your foot or whatever, I feel that's
better to connect to, I guess.
Yeah, that equates more to what he's kind of saying, and like emotional pain of getting a rejection or something that hit.
Yeah, so like saying the sting of it, the pain of it. Yeah,
feels more.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Thank you, Peter.
Much appreciated, man.
The only other question I wanted to ask about the Quiet book was, how do you think you'd fare in a Asian country where it is more of an introvert ideal? The quiet, you can kind of get rewarded more for being a quiet person.
I was rewarded plenty for being extroverted in Asian countries.
Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah.
I was in Malaysia for a week for work training back in the day. And being an extrovert and being super loud and probably part obnoxious, part fucking life of the party was loved in every fucking format. So that was fantastic. In Taiwan, same thing, when I was just really chatty and talking to a lot of people when I was there with family. I've been in Asia quite a few times, and being extroverted felt like it was very helpful.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. Cool. Yep. All right. There you go. All right. Suck it, Susan.
Suck it.
What do you know about this guy? You said you.
I've heard him. I've heard him on Tim Ferriss.
Paul McKenna.
I couldn't tell you. I know that he talked about something to do with charisma.
Okay.
But this would have been a long time ago that he was on Tim Ferriss's podcast.
So he's a hypnotist, I believe, is his main thing, his main profession, and he alludes to hypnotism in here, but it's not strong to it. He's not talking about hypnotism. He's talking about influence and charisma. And I got stuck. I kind of missed the influence part of this.
Yep.
And was reading a bunch of this, being like, "What the fuck is he talking about? There's nothing about charisma here. He's just talking about like other random stuff." And then reading the title again, it's like, "Oh, okay, yeah, influence." And so, essentially, it's a recap of Robert Cialdini's book called Influence, the psychology of persuasion, which I read quite a while ago, and that did have a impact on me. I found it very useful. This was when I was learning about game at the same time, and so game itself is kind of very much related to this kind of psychology type of aspect as well. I can't say that I really grabbed that much from this book, other than he had some funny stuff like this in here of doing power poses. I've
heard about the power pose so much, man.
Lifting your hands up, hands on the hips.
Now, who the fuck does the arms up like a star in the middle of what? Like, where would you be doing that in front of a meeting or some shit?
Show it to the camera as well, so people can.
Oh no!
Oh, Juan, he lost the page.
Hold on.
Shouldn't be too hard to find. Look, I'm sure if you'd never heard of this stuff before, it would be useful. But the overall thing that I got from this is like charisma is, I don't know, but do you feel you could become as charismatic? Do you feel would people describe you as charismatic?
No, like this.
It's charismatic guy.
Yeah.
But you'll find it instantly. Fucking yeah.
Oh, what the hell? I was right at the front. Good grief.
Those are look.
There you go. If you look at those power poses. Do you do any of those power poses, by the way?
I have noticed I've been doing the Wonder Woman hands on the hips thing at the gym a lot.
Yeah, you don't do the.
I don't do the winner arms up high like a star. The boss hands behind head, elbows wide, position of leaning back. I'm telling you, I don't do pose 2, the winner, arms up high and start, but I do the hands on the hips and the hands behind head, elbows wide. Damn, we must be charismatic.
Very often. Like I'll do it in meetings. I do it in meetings quite a bit, actually. Just like by default, I just feel like I do this like quite often. It's just like the normal positioning while I'm talking. Yep.
One thing I have started to do is at the gym, I'd do a set and then I'd kind of sit on the box. I've just got this box where it's raised up, so I'm not having to sit on the ground all the time because I'm in the middle of the floor handstanding. So I just have to get on the floor, get back up again if I wanted to rest every time. So I've got a 40-inch box that I sit on, and I've noticed I'd just like kind of hunch over a lot of times because I'd be tired. One thing I've started to do now is just lean back a little bit, maybe steeple the fingers. Another power pose here, the steepling.
I'll tell you what, all of this stuff, all of this position, shut the fuck up. All of it's wrong. All of it's stupid. Whenever like someone says like, oh, you want to feel powerful or whatnot, and put your hands, shut the fuck up. It's all wrong. Why? Why is it wrong?
Tell me why.
It's because it's the underlying feeling that actually then denotes that actually changes it completely. So And I've seen this. So I've read this like so many times. I've seen people who are introverted or shy or not popular and do the like thing like this.
Okay,
you know what it looks like when they're like, you don't mean it and don't have it? They look like the dumbest shit ever has stepped in. You can tell, you can smell it. You can be like, what are you doing? And then they'll be like, oh, I'm a bit shy about it. I think it's the intent of that. I don't think it's so much the position. Now, you can read it, like the scientific, yes, it does.
Smiling makes you happier even if you're not happy. So smile to make yourself happy.
Correct. Like there's things
Fake
like
it until you make it.
Yeah. But I think it's more, it's the, again, cut it down. There's underlying reason behind that in that, I'll tell you, do a standing Superman, Superwoman pose.
Wonder Woman, yeah.
And when I'm walking around the gym, when I do that, because often when I do that, I'm not doing it because I'm like, I want to look like I'm confident and I'm proud and whatever.
Sure.
No, it's just the natural feeling because the good vibes are flowing, I've got blood flowing, I'm tired, I'm amped up for the training, and that's just the default way the positioning of the body goes for me, right?
Okay.
And I think it's more, there is that feeling, whatever the feeling is of putting yourself in a good mood, good feeling, good vibe, whatever it is, that is probably pretty unique to each individual. I think if you were in that position, whatever that position looks like, and it might look a bit different for everyone else, but it's the energy that would emanate from a human from that. That's the thing that would go like, oh, like this person's like locked in. They're fully assured of themselves. I've seen this. I'm telling you, I've seen this. I reckon at some point it's going to be validated in some scientific study in the future. But if you do a Wonder Woman pose and you think, if I just do this pose and I hold it, and I've heard of this being like, you hold it for like 10, 20 seconds and you will be seen. Shut the fuck up. I swear to God, I've seen this firsthand multiple times with people and it does not work. You can tell that they're not in that. And it almost makes them feel worse in a way. Now, is it worse than like slumping in the corner and like not interacting? Not at all. I'll tell you, like one of the techniques, if you will, of a team member, I've had them plenty of times, like really quiet. They don't want to talk. They do well on their own. In fact, not they do well, no, they're shit. They're a terrible team member. Okay. They won't even work well. It would not improve them if I told them stand like Wonder Woman or like Superman, even if they read it and they did it. Yeah. I'm telling you, I'd still be able to be like, it is helping nothing. You know what does help them? If you get them into like a space where they feel a little bit more confident. And confidence doesn't really come from that position. It comes from the position almost in the mental aspect of, hey, if this particular person was a bit of a runner, right? Mm-hmm. If I could get him engaged into something adjacent to where he does feel a bit of confidence and then move into that conversation of work, let's just say, then it works out better. So, if for whatever reason the position does get you into that state, okay, fine, whatever. But I'm telling you, if you think it's just a position, I've got some news for you.
Yeah.
Paul McKenna.
Nice.
And every other motherfucker on this.
I wasn't expecting that level of...
Yes. I've seen this, man. I've seen this so many times. Just
I'm feeling from one.
Unbelievable.
Wow. Okay. You're not going to like this one here because he's talking...
This is Juan going on a rant.
He's talking about having away the blocks. So this is... what is havening here?
Haven is in like H-A?
Haven. Yeah. Man, I read this, but I don't even remember reading this. But he's talking about like, think of a time when you wanted to be powerful or successful, but were stopped by an inner block of feeling. So think of that one. Okay. Now cross your arms as though you are hugging yourself. So your right hand is resting on top of your left upper arm. So I think just like that, and your left hand is on top of your So just like One's cold at the moment.
Cold.
Gently but firmly stroke your hands down your upper arms. When you reach your elbows, lift your hands up and stroke down again from the top of your upper arm. So you're doing brushing off the cobwebs on your shoulders. Continue this motion for the duration of this exercise. So you're going to be doing it well. Now imagine walking down a flight of stairs and in your mind count the stairs from 1 to 10, all the time continuing to stroke your upper arms gently. When you reach the bottom of the stairs, continue the stroking. And all right, do you think this will help your work colleagues? And continue to remember that time and say to yourself, I am free to be powerful and successful. Repeat the statement every 10 seconds, over and over again for 1 minute while continuing the movement. When you've finished, check that your base feeling. Has it changed? Oh, Juan's not happy. Man. Juan's not happy. Now there's another one.
Man, there better be some fucking scientific citations on this bullshit. There better be some citations on this. There's got to be some reasoning.
I'll see at the end if there's there's no
Fuck you, Paul McKenna. Fuck you.
Oh man, but look, there are some useful stuff in this book in terms of just general.
The thing about this, I
Sales.
think the thing about this is like that probably does work for a good chunk of people, right? And where it does work, like if you were to read that, and the people that need to do that to get a betterment are probably in a position. It might not be like the depth of it, but it might just be in a position of they're not confident, they're not assured of themselves, maybe they didn't reach out or whatever. And so you do, again, could be fucking stroke your penis, whatever. It's something, do something that makes you mentally think that you are putting yourself into a better position. It is. It's the affirmations, it's the talking, it's the slap yourself in the face, bang like a gorilla, whatever. Listen to music, which is maybe more a normal statement. There is an action that you can do that you can put in your mind that, hey, when I do this, I'm going to be a little bit more amped up. To someone else, that might sound like crazy talk. For us, if we're doing a podcast, if I put fucking some good music, zoo, and played it at 100% volume and it was fucking pumping, you better believe we're probably going to be in a little bit better mood for a certain amount of time when you begin. If you have an expectation of the world right now where it's like, whatever, it's you're down in the dumps because such and such didn't happen or your light didn't turn on or something, how about you go to Antarctica for 30 days? Live there, barely on anything else. You'll come home and guess what? For about 30 days, you will see everything is fucking fantastic because your baseline's been lowered. This is just all about baseline, expectations, confidence. And again, if you think that doing something like that and you read it and that's put you into a better place, then it probably will. But that's just you shifting your perspective on expectation and going, well, now I'm doing this, I'll expect myself to be at a more prepared level, and then you do.
Yeah. The thing with these two books, and I'd categorize the commonality between them as the kind of belief system behind it. So he's a hypnotist. So his whole shtick is to, I don't know if he's more of a performative one or a therapeutical one. I'd say he's more on the therapeutical, i.e. he's not doing hypnotist shows, although maybe he has and does do that. Where it's like, get people from the audience to come up on the stage, you can and hypnotize them, and then they can squawk like a chicken and do all this random shit. Yep. And I remember my dad went to a show once, and he said he was very surprised that it worked in a way, but that also the filtering process was people would go up to the stage, and he would instantly say yes or no to them. And my dad's reasoning was, he had some sort of way of kind of being able to tell people either they were plants in the audience, which is a possibility, or there was an actual way that he had of kind of sorting out people relatively quickly to see if they're the type that believe in hypnotism.
And I reckon you could pick that up really quick, especially if he does this like professionally done a long time. You'd be able to read people in relation to that availability of it really quick, I reckon. Really quickly.
And that's kind of how these things work. I think a lot of it is, a lot of these exercises are, think of a time you felt confident, energetic, remember that occasion, what you felt, heard, saw, feel, make the colors brighter, the picture sharper, the sounds clearer. All these sorts of visualization type of things where, you're trying to believe yourself into feeling better about a certain action or something, and then using that belief or motivation to overcome roadblocks. Or
I'll give you the biggest tip. Here's
reframe.
The Juan McKenna one for actual confidence. There's I for sure would give this for my daughters and everything else, but it's like, which again goes back to, I think you have to.
Fiona doesn't need more confidence.
I think you have to put the energy to becoming like really good at particular something. And why is that? So because my feedback would be, especially if you're an introvert or if it's something that you can't do, I kind of go, just recall something that you can be good at or sort of good at, whatever. Like, what's the best thing that you're at? Let's just say, for Cain, is handstands, right? And one-hand handstands. And it's like, okay, now recall back 5, 6, and this is where like note-taking and journaling really works out well. Be like, cool. Go and reflect back to when you were first beginning handstands or muscle-ups or whatever. Reflect back on it and review, what were you doing? What was the feelings and everything else? And then recognize, holy shit, you're actually here and it took this effort to get to this. And it's like, now apply that into whatever other aspect. Do you really believe you can go and speak to 1,000 people and be confident without the action and the effort and the trialing? And if you were to try a one-arm handstand 5 years ago, sure, you probably could have tried to do something, but it wouldn't have been good. It wouldn't have been, it would have been a little bit ugly. You might not have done it. You might have injured yourself. What gives you the expectation that this thing that you're doing that you've never tried before, and again, it's a skill set and it's a repetition that you haven't done before. Why would you expect all of a sudden that you're going to do it unless you've got a natural affinity to it? And yes, that's different. There's going to be natural affinities to an extrovert, to an introvert, and there are aspects where quietness is better and when loudness is better, but everything is different. And if you do want to achieve it, I don't think it's useful to say, stroke your arms and fucking think this. It's like, no, look at the practicalities of when something became good at something. It's usually the reps and the skill set and the improvement and just getting a bit more focus on that. Even just thinking it that way, I think that's the trigger of the differentiation of like, oh yeah, I'm not unique. This happens all the time. It's happened with me. It happens with everyone else. The plan to do that is to do this, this. Go to, approaching females and talking to them. Again, if you're generally extroverted, yes, do you have a maybe natural tendency to be better at it? Sure. If you're introverted, do you have some challenges? Sure. But is it going to be improved? If you 21-year-old Karen hasn't slept with anyone, if Paul McKenna said, you know what? Superwoman stance, when you're talking to them, you're going to have the
Wonder
confidence
Woman.
to do it. Shut the fuck up.
Pretend like
that
you're
ain't
Wonder
going to
Woman.
do anything.
That's
But what
how
will
you
help if you do 29 approaches, 29 fail, and on the 30th, you go, you know what? I both don't care, and I've done this enough now that I feel like I can have the conversation. That, I think, is a more powerful thing.
Also, being able to do stuff without having the belief I feel pretty important. I never really believed I could do a muscle up, for example. Because when you start, I couldn't I remember going to the gym for the first time and I couldn't even do a fucking pull-up. So how could I get to a muscle up? That's impossible. I can't even do a pull-up. That's so far away. Yet still doing things, and this is where it's like, okay, but do you believe you can do, an assisted pull-up? Maybe. All right, well, I'll try it out on the machine. Oh shit, I can do it like that. And this is like the whole theory, not theory, but the whole reason to set like mini goals.
It's
after.
exactly.
Even if you don't believe you can.
This was the piece that I put together around the generators versus trophies. Is like the faster you can get out of the mindset of, oh well, I'm going to achieve this trophy and next trophy. It's like, no, aim for the generators. Like, yep, think about the trophy that you want or the things that you want to achieve, and then just break down into what generators, what are all the actions, and then hyper focus on that, because who cares that the trophy might be, let's take a random one. You want to be the
charismatic as George Clooney.
Sure, as charismatic as George Clooney. And you might break that down into like, okay, well, here are 7 practices I need to do on the daily and 2 key things I need to do when blah, 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 blah. And then you just go, that's a hyper focus, because if you do that over enough time with enough reps, you will get better. And it's the outcome that you originally thought to achieve, which is being as charismatic as George Clooney. Let me tell you, if you first think that, you actually don't want to be charismatic as George Clooney. You want that for a reason. Like that's the real thing. You want that for another reason. And now sometimes the reason, like you want to achieve a one-handed handstand, right? And even then, the reason you're doing that, same as the reason I train, is actually because we just want to be like, we want to see how good we can be at this particular thing that we enjoy doing. That's actually the reason. So when you do the generators and the actions, you will become as good as you can doing these various things. And then it's kind of independent that the trophy gets achieved in the end.
Yeah, for sure. I just realized I had my leg on this chair and it was actually hitting the mic stem. So potentially
no one heard anything.
Potentially a lot of disturbance noises there. So if so, apologies. That was my fault. I mean, 100%. Like, why do you want to be as charismatic as George Clooney?
It's a good place to begin with. And this is the whole thing I say to people. That's why I kind of get annoyed when I see stuff like this, where it's like, do this post so you can be confident. It's like, you're actually missing the underlying realities of there's a reason. So you put a goal that you will later realize was superficial, but you have to have the goal to break it down, to do the right generators to get you to the outcome, to achieve the underlying thing.
Sure.
That kind of misses the point of like, oh, you want to be confident? Stand like this. It's like, you missed it, man. You missed it. That's actually not the reason probably why you wanted to be confident, nor have I seen this personally really be achieved. If you're listening out there and there might be 1 out of 100 who do that pose and it does work out for them, and that's what big confidence. Kudos. Wonderful. but I've barely seen that ever be the case. To demonstrate that we've seen the guy, you've seen the guy fucking leaning all the way back and we're breaking his back, so right? Funny. He might have thought he was confident and good. I'm sure everyone else who he was approaching of the opposite sex was like, what is going on here? It's not the outcome that he was probably wanting to achieve, right? And then maybe the confidence, the uniqueness could have been achieved in another way had that been maybe just like a more underlying goal of just, I want to be more attractive and unique, and you can do that in various other ways and going parallel to the floor. So
I should get back into the game scene, man. Those guys are fucking.
It would be pretty funny. There would be some pretty funny conversations.
So fucking random, man. I'd completely forgotten about that guy. Yeah, Jesus, that was something to behold, man. For those who don't know, it was. I'm gonna say like in the 100 episodes 100. We're actually 499 right now.
Ooh.
Next one's 500.
Wow.
Should we do like a recap of?
I think so. Yeah, we can do a recap or something. Yep, I think that'll be good.
But
we went over 1,250 episodes all up as well. Across everything. So you think Chris Williamson, you think you're good at 1,000?
Yeah.
200 plus. Joe Rogan, not even halfway.
He's still pumping out many
he's on like,
a week.
2,400 or something, yeah.
Yeah, like if anyone doing 3+ a week is going to beat us. So.
Yeah.
Our time of doing 3+ a week is... I mean, like...
Well, no, we're almost doing three a week because Mere More's Emotional, book review, this one's...
I take it back. We're still doing stuff.
If you were doing book reviews right now, we'd be...
Yeah, that's
four on average a week, probably. So, all right, we'll leave it there, Mere Mortals. Once again, you can support us in all the various ways. MEreMortals.com/support. You can comment. You can go on the Discord. You can ask the questions. You can wire up your arms like a winner. Don't do it on my face. I'm going to literally knock you out if you're not actually confident. So just be warned. For now, Mere Mortals, I hope you're well wherever you are in the world. One out.
Going out.
Good.